Wow, look at this for a Christmas centerpiece. Everybody likes to wow their guests at Christmas time, whether it's a flambéed Christmas pudding or a beautifully decorated Christmas fruitcake. Well, I've got this as an alternative. This is gorgeous chocolate fudge cake with an amazing gooey caramel center. And I am going to show you how to make it. I'm Claire, so let's get going. Starting with the cake, this delicious chocolate tray bake is oil based because it needs to be springy and not crumbly. And we've popped the recipe for you in the description below. Now I've got a couple of food rings here. I've got a 9 centimetre one and a 3 centimetre one, and they're about 3 centimetres high, which is perfect for this cake. And what we want to do is take our larger ring and cut some circles out of our sponge like this. And then we take our smaller one and we want to take the centre out of each of our larger circles. Right, now we just want to clear away the excess, so we're just left with our rings, but it's important that you keep one of these, and I'm going to show you why shortly. My chocolate cake rings are ready. Now it's time for assembly. You just need a board, any flat board will do. And what we do is take one of our rings and we pop it straight onto the board, and then you want your filling. Now I've got some chocolate ganache here, but you can use buttercream if you like, whatever you prefer. And I've got it in a piping bag. So you just want to squeeze your filling around the ring like that. Okay, now for the oozy centre. There are different types of caramels out there and you can use whatever you like, but it's really important when you're choosing your filling to consider the way you're going to serve this. For example, this is a delicious caramel. It's a squeezy one, so it's quite runny. It's perfect if you're going to do individual candles, but maybe not quite so good if you want to slice it and serve it. Then I've got this one. Now this is divine. This is Joe and Steph's caramel. This is like fudge and it's gorgeous, but it's just for what I want and my centre, I want something a little bit more gooey. So I've gone for this one, of course, the old school retro carnation caramel. This is perfect for my filling because it's lovely and gooey and not too runny. I'm going to pop it in a piping bag just to make it easier, and then just snip the end off. And then what we do is we just want to squeeze that gorgeous filling into the centre, like that. Now, what we do now is take another one of our chocolate cake rings and just place it on top. Just squeeze it down slightly. And we're basically repeating. So we go around again with our ganache or buttercream. So finally, what we do is pop a little bit more of your gorgeous filling in there, but if you remember I said keep one of your cord pieces. It's because we just want to just take a little bit off it, and then we want to essentially plug it. So I'm going to plug the top. Now the next stage is to ganache this, but in order to make that ganaching process a lot easier, I'm just going to pop this in the fridge just for a few minutes just to let this firm up and set. My cake's nice and chilled now, so it's firmed up. Time now to cover it in the ganache. Now I've got my cake on a turntable. If you do have a turntable, it will make things a little bit easier for you. And what we're going to do is take some of our ganache using a palette knife and just spread it up and down the sides of your cake. And this is where the turntable is really handy. You can be quite generous at this point. Okay, so now I've got a generous layer all the way around. I've got a scraper here, quite a tall scraper, and just keep your scraper still and just turn your cake round. And you're taking off the excess, and that excess you just want to put back in your bowl. And then we just want to go around again, just taking off that excess. And this is your initial layer, and this will give you some nice structure to your cake. Okay, now we've done that, we just want to put a little bit on top. It's okay to let it go down the sides, that's fine. Spread it round the sides as it drops down. And then again, take your scraper and just again go around, keeping it nice and upright so you have a straight edge on your cake. There we go. And then just on the top, you just want to scrape the excess off so you have a flat top. Right, now I want to put another layer on here just for absolute security of the cake. But before I do that, I just want to put this back in the freezer, let this set, and then we'll move on to the next layer. Whilst my cake was in the freezer, I have had a bit of a clear up because for this final layer, it's quite nice if your utensils are clean. So I'm going to go in again with another layer of the ganache just to cover any bits that didn't get a neat covering last time. And you can see it's so much easier on this layer because your cake is now nice and firm. Right, and then same again, so you just want to scrape round, taking off the excess and getting a really nice straight-edged cake. Okay, now there we go. That is now your cake done. We've got a lovely straight edge. You don't need to put it back in the freezer at this stage. We can just put it to one side and now get ready for the next bit, which is decorating. I'm going to cover my cake in sugar paste or fondant. I've got some white here because I want a white candle. I've given this a really good knead and now I'm going to roll it out and then I'm going to show you how to measure it. Right, now I've rolled my sugar paste about 5mm thick. Now don't worry, we're not going to lift this up and put it on top of our cake. We're actually going to wrap it round. It's much easier. To measure how much you need, I have a ribbon here. So what we do is we wrap our ribbon around our cake so we get the circumference, and then I'm just going to hold my finger there, place that on my sugar paste, and then just cut a straight line, just a mark where it went there and here. And then taking my ribbon again, we're going to just get the height. Just mark it there with your finger and then place it on here, which is there. Just going to use a sharp knife. And I'm essentially making quite a long rectangle of sugar paste here. What I want to do now is actually place the cake on something pretty because this board, it's fine, but it is covered in a little bit of ganache. So I'm actually going to take a nice pretty plate, which is what you would serve your cake on, and then using a palette knife, just run it underneath the cake to make sure it's released. And then pick it up and then place it in the center. And then in order for your sugar paste to actually stick to this, I've got some apricot jam, which I think works really, really well. And I'm just going to use a pastry brush and just place some apricot jam all around the sides of my cake. Right, now to place it on, take this, and it's easier if you actually roll it up. So just bend it in to start with and then just roll it up like this. Because what you can then do is actually just stand it upright, which makes things a lot easier. And we just want to stick it to the side of our cake like so. And then literally you're just unrolling and sticking it along as you go. And then just use your hands just to smooth it on like that. And then when you get to the end, you just want to just squeeze it together like that. Now you can just use your hands just to smooth it all together. But if you want a little bit of a neater finish, I have a smoother here. And this is a much neater finish. And you can actually just smooth away like so. There we have it. Right, now that our sides are done, let's move on to doing the top bit. I've rolled out some more of my sugar paste, again about 5 millimeters, and I'm going to take my cutter that I used for the sponge, and I just simply want to cut a circle out. But I want my circle to be a little bit bigger than that. So once I've cut it out, I just take my rolling pin and just roll over it one way and then the other, and that just makes it a little bit bigger, like so. Now, move that out of the way for a second, and I'm just going to bring my cake in. I want to take a little bit off the top here because I want it to look like a candle that's already been lit and melted. So take a sharp knife and just at a slight angle, just take out a little bit of the center, not too much, and it doesn't have to be too even either. There we go, just take a little bit out there and just get rid of that. And then we want to just put some more apricot jam on the top here. And then we take our circle of sugar paste and you just place it on the top, and you just want to squeeze it on the edges. Now, these edges are going to be covered, so don't worry too much about them being too neat. Just make sure that it's sealed. So squeeze all the way around. Right, lovely. So that's done now. For the wax, we are using sugar paste, the same sugar paste that we used to cover the cake. However, we need to change the consistency of this to make it pourable, and here's how. You take it and you just want to break it into little bits and pop it into a mixing bowl. Then what we do is take some boiling water, and you want to pour a little bit in your bowl, just a little bit at a time. And you want to whack your mixer up on full speed using a whisk attachment and until it's all incorporated. Now that is not quite there yet, but I just want to show you the consistency. So it's kind of turned into a really sticky paste, which is lovely. It's all incorporated and there are no lumps, but we want it to be slightly looser because we want to be able to pour it. So I'm going to put, I'm going to put a little bit more water into it, and we go again. Right, this time make sure that my thing is down, and we put it again on high. Right, let's have a look at that. Now that, I would say, is perfect. You can pour this now and pop that over to one side. Right, now I've got this. Let's bring the candle back in. Now I've got a spoon here. So you just want to take a bit of your paste, put it on your spoon, and then just to begin with, just put it on the top of your cake, because what we're going to do is just use the back of our spoon now just to smooth it over. You want to cover the whole of the top of the cake in a thin layer. And then this is where we start to pour it down the sides. So get a bit more on your spoon, and you just want to put it on the edge like that, and then just try and tease it over like so, and then the same. You want to cover this size, you want to cover up that crease where you've put the top on, and you want to let it just pour down. And don't be afraid of really pushing it down to the point where it even drips all the way down the side of the cake, even down onto your plate. Let gravity do its thing. Right, I think that is enough. So I have put it all the way around the cake. A good tip is if you had a join of sugar paste on your cake, if you put a little bit of it down there, it covers that join. Now, it does look like a candle and it does look good, but it's not finished yet because obviously it needs a wick. I've got some sugar paste here, and I've just coloured it with a little bit of yellow food colouring. And we want to take a little amount, about that amount, roll it into a ball in the palm of your hand. And then once we've got it into a ball, you just want to roll one side of it to make it into a cone shape, like that. Now, once we've got that, we want to add a little bit of orange to it. So I've got some orange food colouring here. It's a liquid colouring or a paste colouring, but you can use powder as well if you want, on a brush. And we just want to brush in downward strokes from the top, and it just makes it look a little bit more realistic. There we go. So we've got that yellow glow at the bottom and that orange on the top. So now we've got that, we simply just place it on the top in the wax like that. Now it looks like a proper candle, but I want to turn it into a festive centerpiece. I have got some foliage here that I just got from my garden. So I've got some rosemary and some bay, and I'm literally just going to place them around the plate into a bit of a wreath. So I'm not going to go too structured, just put a few bits around. Lovely. Now, here I've got some edible gold spritz, and I just think this just kind of lifts it and makes it even more Christmassy. And I'm just going to spritz my berries, and I just think that just looks absolutely gorgeous. How lovely is that? Well, there you have it. The most beautiful and delicious centerpiece, a festive wreath around this gorgeous Christmas candle. Now, of course, there is one last thing to do, and that is to show you the inside of the cake. So let's just remove a little bit of this foliage and put a knife through it. Now let's remove the slice and place it here onto the plate, and then you can see all this gorgeous oozy caramel on the inside, which we just want to add onto our plate. Oh, it's absolutely delicious. Now, of course, the benefit of filming this to show you is that I get to try it. So let's see. Oh my goodness. That was the perfect choice of caramel. Absolutely delicious and really quite simple to make. I really hope that I have inspired you to have a go at this. And of course, if you do have a go and you really enjoy doing it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see everything else that we make.